Mr. Schwartz remains a practicing trial attorney and a patient advocate, and you're also a member of the board of directors of the NAHAC and a founding member of the Greater Chicago Advocates. Again, welcome, Brad, and you have a very unique story. And if you can be so kind as to share your story of being a patient and how it turned out.
Well, thank you for the introduction. I think you nailed it.
Okay.
And, you know, like you said, I was no stranger to medical-related litigation. I experienced it myself as a lawyer. So when I came down with what I thought was a headache in May of 2004, I felt like it was something that I was going to be able to handle. I went to the emergency room and kind of haphazard that day. I don't know how much experience you and your viewers have going into emergency rooms, but it's hit or miss. And I think on the day that I went there, it was miss. Good hospital, decent network, but I was there at the wrong day and the wrong time. It was a holiday weekend, and it appeared right off the bat that the people that were there didn't really want to be there, and the people that shouldn't have been there probably put in to take off months earlier. So I went to a good hospital at what I thought was the right time. I didn't wait too long. I didn't try and treat myself. I was going for expert care. I went with my family, my wife, my parents. I had extended family that showed up. There were, at one point, probably 5 or 6 people there. And the doctors and the nurses just seemed like they weren't really doing their job. A few things were neglected, a few things were overlooked, and, you know, even though I was confident and I knew, you know, certainly knew my way around a doctor's office and a hospital based on having been there so many times just in the legal practice. I mean, we would take depositions, no problem speaking up when it comes to asking doctors and nurses questions about care and treatment, but, you know, it's different when it's yourself. And I found that despite being knowledgeable, despite the fact that I was comfortable using the medical lingo, medical jargon, when it's you, you need somebody more than a family member sometimes to stick up for you. And unfortunately, you never know when it's gonna happen, when you're really gonna need somebody. Turns out, I didn't get misdiagnosed. I failed to get diagnosed with bacterial meningitis. And, you know, by the time they realized that they had missed it, it was too late. And then it was a matter, it went from, you know, okay, treating somebody with an antibiotic, let's stop the progression of the disease and start to reverse it, to, oh my God, we got to get this guy on life support right away and put him into a coma for 30 days in order to hopefully save his life, but definitely not limb. I lost those.
Yes, it's tragic. Misdiagnosis is the #1 cause of malpractice lawsuits. I was reading up on that.
Recent studies show that.
Literature.
Yeah, and I think they also showed that within that third leading cause, the #1 reason for medical malpractice is the failure to communicate properly. I mean, we live in a world of technology. Everybody's connected. We have electronic medical records everywhere. But unless doctors and nurses talk to each other and get in the same room and actually figure out whether or not they're doing the right thing, it doesn't make a difference at all.
How does one know about the difference between medical error, like a small mistake made, and is that really medical malpractice?
Good question. I mean, great question. I mean, people make mistakes. People make mistakes all the time. And if you acknowledge the fact that you made a mistake, maybe tell somebody about it, maybe do something about it as opposed to looking the other way and hoping it just goes away, 9 times out of 10 you're going to be able to fix that mistake and take corrective action. But it's when you deny it, put your head in the sand, your shift is up, pass it off to the next person, that's when a simple mistake turns into an avalanche. And that's when things go bad, when nobody wants to get involved. The medical errors happen because of non-communication and failure to take this corrective action. It's a syndrome.
Yeah, and it
So
starts like a cover-up.
It is. It
Because
really.
the specialist may have read something and then goes, well, I can't really say anything because I know all these people, and, it goes into one thing into another until finally, that person has a grievance. The patient just,
And it
then
gets-
they seek you.
Right, and there's reasons why doctors and hospitals aren't upfront about it, and you talk about the literature out there having to do with medical error rate. There's an incredible amount of literature out there that talks about the positive side of apologizing and coming clean and saying sorry, and how that reduces horrible outcomes and actually financially makes everybody better off. But the difference between a simple medical error that can be corrected and a medical error that does not go corrected, that's where the medical negligence often comes in. That's where the patient gets unhappy. That's where the patient becomes a plaintiff and runs to a lawyer, not because of the mistake, but because of the runaround and how they get treated after it happens. Denial, red tape, barriers, even in terms of just getting medical records. Guard goes up. Doctors stop returning phone calls. It happens all the time.
That is true, but I appreciate your input.